In this video, I'm going to take you through my journey from selling my own online business back in 2023 to then starting a career in M&A in the online space and ultimately closing over $20 million in deals over the past 2 years. Hi, I'm James Beatty. I'm a senior sell-side M&A advisor at Empire Flippers, and I help online entrepreneurs negotiate the best possible exit for their business. So to start this story, we really need to take it back about 10 or 11 years ago. And that's whenever I left school and joined PricewaterhouseCoopers. I went on one of their school leavers programs, which was a really good option at that time versus going to university. I could work at PwC while doing my accountancy exams and become a chartered accountant much quicker than going through the university route. And also I was making money, which was nice. But during my time there, I worked in the transaction services department, specifically in the due diligence team. And I got to work on some really interesting deals at the time. Now, obviously I was bottom of the rung Excel monkey, but it was extremely valuable and a great experience getting into those rooms where big deals were happening. You know, you're in there with the owner of the business as they're trying to close a deal. And it's an extremely high pressure, stressful situation as it comes to close. So I got a great experience there and really enjoyed that atmosphere. However, some of my online businesses had started to take off, and in late 2016, I left PwC to do my own thing. And from 2016 through 2020, I did e-commerce pretty much full time. And then in 2020, I made a pivot to the business that I ended up selling. So during COVID, there was a lot of logistical issues in e-commerce, and I decided to make a pivot. I seen an opportunity in sort of the gaming and streaming space. I'd always sort of been passionate about gaming, and I thought it would be interesting to start a business in that space if I could. So I seen an opportunity to start a content website. If you don't know what a content website is, it's essentially if you look at something like the New York Times or any article that you click on whenever you search anything on Google, those are content websites most of the time. The goal was to get as many visitors and get as much traffic as possible to the site. So what we did on the site was streaming guides, camera setups, stream settings. We also did and branched out into sort of general gaming content and streamer news. So we did all that, and the site peaked at about 300,000 visitors per month, I think at its highest month. However, coming into 2023, I sort of saw the writing on the wall for content sites. AI was really starting to take off. Google were releasing a lot of updates at the time, which were shaking sites up, shaking up rankings in SEO, and lots of sites were losing traffic. So I built something that had some value, and I thought, maybe this is the time to take some money off the table and see if I can sell my business. At the time, I really didn't know much at all about selling a site or how to do it. And funnily enough, I ended up going to Empire Flippers with my site. We were listed for about 3 or 4 months at the time, and I ended up selling it. Now, I made some mistakes along the way, and now, having done over 70 transactions over the past few years, I think I would have done a lot better going back and selling that today if I had the opportunity. I might have got some more value out of the deal. But back then, I made a few crucial mistakes. One, I turned down an initial offer that was probably 20 or 30% higher than the offer that I ended up taking for the business. I didn't have an advisor on the deal, so I didn't really know what the market looked like, what comparables were, and what should I be accepting here and what is realistic. And I just wanted to get the listing price that I put it up for, and it was a big mistake that ended up costing me down the line and probably would have been avoided by either having an advisor or having some more experience in that space. But at the time, it was so interesting, and I kind of got back to that feel of being at PwC, of speaking to some of these potential buyers. Some of them were just portfolio owners. Others were sort of more like aggregators in the content space, and they ran sort of gaming media networks, and they had a lot of sites, and they were looking to tack this on. And it was really interesting having those conversations. And I ended up going through them all. I sold to a buyer. I closed in early 2023, and it was a smaller 6-figure exit. It wasn't life-changing money, but going through that experience was super valuable, and I learned a lot throughout it. And then in 2023, I really didn't know what to do next, and I started working on some other projects. And throughout that year, I had a couple of things going on, but nothing really concrete had taken off again. And I get this email in my inbox late 2023 from Empire Flippers, and I see that they're looking M&A brokers. And initially I look at it, and at that stage, it had been 7, maybe 8 years since I'd had any sort of job or any sort of, full-time employment. And that scared me a little bit going back into something like that. But I'd always been thinking back to, what would have happened if I had stayed at PwC versus going down the online business route. And then I get this email, and it sounds like the perfect blend between both options, right? It's M&A. It's kind of what I did at PwC. It's a different niche, but I have a lot of experience in that online space. I've done this for 7 years. I've ran multiple different business models. I understand customer acquisition, logistics, supply chain, which is a lot of what my clients deal with on a daily basis. And having a broker that understands those pieces of the business and can understand that with them, I think is extremely valuable. And also having the experience of actually selling my own business and understanding the emotions that a seller goes through throughout that period, I thought was an interesting, positive that I could bring to the table if I was to work there. So I ended up interviewing, ultimately got the job and joined the team in 2024 in January. I've worked my way up. I've done a lot of smaller deals in the initial few months and worked my way up to now working on our 7-figure deals here at Empire Flippers. I've seen everything from amazing deals that we go live, we get multiple offers in and we sell over list price, to deals that end up falling through half an hour before we're meant to sign off on an asset purchase agreement and close the deal, and everything in between. And throughout that process, I've learned a lot about what makes a business sellable and what things sellers should be doing prior to the listing process, during that sales process, when talking to buyers and getting to a closing point. So there's a lot that happens throughout that process, and I want to use this channel as a place to help sellers, whether you work with me or not, hopefully prepare your business in the best possible shape to sell for the highest possible exit. Selling your business is one of the maybe highest leverage points in your life. And I see so many people who go live or look for an exit without really preparing. And they'll say stuff like, I just want to put it up and see if I get offers. And then they get a great offer and we go into due diligence. The financials are a mess. The operations are a mess. And they get either hammered down on the price and get well less than they expected, or the deal just simply falls through because they weren't prepared to sell. So on this channel, I'm going to mainly be doing sell-side M&A content and creating content around helping you sell your business for the maximum possible valuation. And day to day, I do work as a broker. So I specifically work on our larger transactions in the 7-figure range. So typically, to work with me, you'd need to be doing around $25,000 per month in net profit, and I would take on your deal. But Empire Flippers also take on smaller deals, so I will leave 2 links down below if you want to work with me. Happy to answer any questions down in the comments, and I look forward to creating more content here.